Yes, thank you. I want to just thank you very much for your advocacy as well and your work on behalf of the children of the city. You raised two issues that I wanted to ask you if you would give us some direction on specifically. What is before us as it relates to mayoral control in particular? It's extension for 3 years with no changes. That's one. And two, I want to just, that you're correct, that we really, at this point, to my knowledge, we have no way of allowing for a deliberative discussion, thoughtful, looking at all of the possibilities, looking at all of the issues, and coming up with some recommendations for resolution, for changes. So my question to you is, some of us have advocated the possibility of doing a commission, establishing a commission, which would be to allow for that kind of deliberation and hopefully some recommendations that could come out of that outside of politics. So that's one question. And do you think that we need to go ahead and do the 3 years, or would you suggest, the mayor himself has said he's really looking for 3 years so that there is 1 year beyond him for us to have to haggle and hassle with this problem. But in effect, some members have suggested that maybe we do 2 years. That would extend certainly to our mayor's tenure, but also would give us an opportunity. And when I say us, I mean you involved with us, to look at this issue from the lens of the benefit of the 1 million children in the city of New York.
The ECC has been working on this since 2015. Every year we present amendments, and they've been ignored. Who's to guarantee that next year or 2 years from now, a Republican Senate will be reelected and it'll go by the wayside? So I just think the sooner we put in amendments and fix this now would benefit more people.
We don't have the particular issues of the CEC, I absolutely believe are so important, but governance is even larger than that, and I'm just wondering how you feel about the whole question of how do we get to some consensus on the best governance for the city of New York.
Who wants to take that?
I'll chime in for a moment here. I would be in favor of a commission with a 1-year extension. I agree with Teresa that the sooner the better, given the current date and the predicament that we find ourselves in. But I think the sooner the better, and I want to give an example of something that just happened last week, which was that SUNY approved the last of the 7 charters that were allocated to New York City, and 3 of them are going into Upper Manhattan, which will be charters number 52, 53, and 54, just for North Manhattan, District 3, 4, 5, and 6. And those are the districts in Manhattan that are already choked, saturated with up to 50% penetration of our public school kids going to charter schools. When the New York State statute, I think it's 2852, specifically states that 5% of the population is the standard by which we should measure the number of kids in the charter school system relative to the consent or clear educational benefit provided. Now, how is it that we got there is another conversation, but what SUNY would like to do at this point is borrow some of the 99 charters left to the upper part of New York and bring them down to the city. And who is going to fight for our New York City public school kids?
We will.
Thank you.
I'd like to address the questions that you posed, Senator Montgomery. 3-year extension without any amendments is an absolute no. No, 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 and no, and no, and one more no. So I want to impress upon you that is not what we want. There will be rallies and protests if that happens. whether, and the idea of commission I am in support of, as long as there are specific roles for current and former CEC and citywide council members on that commission, as well as other parent leaders who have been involved in this battle, and teachers, administrators, and I would add students as well. If those members, stakeholders are specifically included in the commission, I would be in support. Whether it should be 1 or 2 years, speaking selfishly, I would like to be on that commission, but I don't want to add another meeting every month. So I'm thinking maybe 2 years is a good idea. 1 year seems short.